The Boston Celtics raised banner 18 roughly 10 months ago. Now they're looking to do it again. The NBA playoffs are here, which means Boston will kick off round one on Sunday and try to go back-to-back for the first time since 2017-2018 in the NBA. So if you guys want the Boston Celtics to win the NBA playoffs, this is the channel to be subscribed to. We are going live for every single game, just like we did last year. And if you guys want the Boston Celtics to win, then sub for Celtics dubs. We need 100 more subscribers to reach a monumental 48,000. Let's get there before the playoffs. Could this be the Boston Celtics starting five last playoff run together? You guys know them. We've seen them. They led us to banner 18. Can they do it again to banner 19? We're going to break that down in the first half of the show. Back half of the show. I know that the last couple weeks have looked a little rough and we haven't had the greatest opponents to face, but Boston is 110% locked in to go back-to-back. I'm going to break down what's been going on, what they're saying in the locker room that can reassure us as fans that this is Boston's year. Welcome to Celtics Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Allie Barefoot, and Boston is playing on Easter Sunday, April 20th, against either the Orlando Magic or the Atlanta Hawks. Obviously, their play-in game will be tomorrow, so we'll have to wait and see who we play for a possible 7-game series. I personally would rather face the Atlanta Hawks. I think that they are less of a match for Boston, and they've been dealing with some injuries, but Orlando would be a good competition as well. But here is where we are really starting to get into a lot of big fat question marks, and it has to do with this starting five. With Kristaps Porzingis, Derrick White, Jayson Tatum, Jrue Holiday, and Jaylen Brown, we have seen them play over 150 games together, and we are so blessed to have watched this great starting five unit be created by Brad Stevens and lead us to a championship. But when you look at the starting five, how much longer can they keep going with all of these salaries that are at hand? You have two of the highest paid basketball players sitting right there in Tatum and Brown. The number one player that I am watching heading into this postseason is Jrue Holiday, because I do think that his job security may be up in the air if Boston does not go back-to-back. I think he has the most to prove this postseason. His regular season stats were not bad by any means, but they weren't what they were when he was signed to Boston back in 2023 summer. And he did have a great playoffs, but what he wasn't able to live up to this last year is making me wonder if Boston is questioning their future with the defensive guard. As you guys can see, it's not a huge jump from 2023 to 2024, but there is a significant drop for a guy like Jrue Holiday to be able to score the basket on a daily basis, to be able to provide assists, rebounds as well, or even just be able to drain it from the three-point line, which he was phenomenal at last year, because we saw Jrue Holiday led the NBA in corner threes at over 65%, and this year he just isn't anywhere to be found with the clutch moments come. And that's where it starts to get a little bit questionable for Holiday's future. I do think the playoff Jrue, however, is vastly different from regular season Jrue. Like a lot of greats are, Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown. There's 82 games in a season. Obviously, at some point, their stats are going to dip. But the playoffs are where it matters most. And I think it's going to matter a lot more for Holiday, who didn't step up in the regular season as much as we needed him to. I mean, hey, we still won 61 games. Not like he played horribly. But playoffs is where Holiday can make his statement that I want to be in Boston and I deserve to be here. Because last year, what Holiday did for the Boston Celtics heading into banner 18, it was a game changer. And I'm looking at the box score here, right? And it's still phenomenal. 50% from the field, 40% from the three-point line. But off the box score is where Holiday really made the most impact. It was the steal in the last 10 seconds against the Indiana Pacers to sweep them in 4 games. It was the defense that he was able to play on not just the top guards in the NBA playoffs, but the bigs as well around the post. So that is why I think that Holiday always has been a better player off of the box score than he is on. But if Holiday somehow chokes or cannot drain any threes or doesn't really lead up to his assists and can't really capitalize on steals, I think he's gone. I think that if Boston does not win back-to-back, somebody's getting traded, whether it's Porzingis, Hauser, Brown, Holiday. But at the top of the list, Holiday makes the most sense. Between age and money, and the assets he's able to bring, I think that the Boston Celtics might move off of Holiday if he doesn't step up in the NBA playoffs. Why? Because next year, he's going to be 35 years old. And age is just a number. We're seeing that with Horford. But he's also about $33 million. Then it keeps getting larger. 35, 37. Guess what? So does his age. It continues to get larger as well. You signed him to a 4-year contract extension after last playoff run. That is how much he meant to Boston. Now, could they possibly keep him this offseason? Not extend him, but keep him if he has another great playoff year? I think so. But this is where it starts to get a little bit sketchy for a team that is over the second tax rate apron going into the second year in a row. Overall, whether it's Holiday, Brown, Hauser, Porzingis, doesn't matter. Right now for the Boston Celtics, it is win the championship or split up. That's the only way it can be. Boston cannot afford the penalties of being over the second tax apron for the second year in a row, and they just simply can't afford the starting 5 that they have right now. It was miraculous that Brad Stevens was able to bring these guys back for 2 years in a row. I just don't see how it's possible to do it for year 3 unless they win the championship. If they win the championship, then screw the penalties. I'll gladly take on draft picks and give them away because Boston is winning. It's one of those, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So if you win, keep it the same. If you don't win, then you have to change things up. It's just how the business works. But will Holiday be the trade target? What do you guys say? Will the Boston Celtics trade Jrue Holiday this offseason if they do not win the NBA Finals? Type T for trade, type K for keep. Let me know in the comment section down below. I think it's T for trade. I just think that mixing in the age and mixing in his skill set along with the money, it might just be a good time to trade him while he still has value, if it comes down to that. Is Boston locked in, and are they ready to be the number 1 target in the NBA playoffs? Well, we're going to break that down in just 1 second. But first, I do want to tell you guys about the official ticketing partner of Celtics Today by Chat Sports, and that is Game Time. If you guys want to go see the Boston Celtics play in the NBA playoffs, and Game Time is the app for you. I know that when I use Game Time, I am going to get the lowest price guaranteed. And I also love that I can get a nice 180 panoramic view from my seat in the app before I buy. That way I know that I am going to get great seat. I know how close I am to the event, and I know I'm not going to be sitting behind a pole or close to the men's restroom. So knowing that the NBA playoffs is one of my favorite postseason events in any major sports, I think this is a time you guys can see history. Whether it's the Celtics or any other team out there, whether it's the Boston Red Sox, the Boston Bruins, or maybe your favorite artist is coming to town, maybe a Noah Khan or a Zach Brown band. Game Time is the app to use. You guys can use it for sporting events, comedy shows, the theater, or maybe even concerts. So if you guys want to go on ahead and get started, that is one of the easiest parts. All you guys have to do is just download the Game Time app, use promo code CHATSPORTS. That's going to give you guys $20 off your first time buying tickets while terms do apply. One more time, download the Game Time app, use promo code CHATSPORTS. That is going to give you guys $20 off your first time buying tickets while terms do apply. Download the Game Time app today because what time is it? It is game time. The road to back-to-back banners does officially start this week, which is extremely exciting because we've had to watch the Charlotte Hornets and the Washington Wizards the last week. So we are due for some good basketball games, and I am very, very excited. But Boston is fully aware of what is at stake. Take a quote from Joe Mazzulla. We don't want the target on our back. We want the target right in between our eyes, on our forehead, so we can see that red dot coming right at us. And really, just to put into perspective of how important this year is and what Boston is able to do, let's take a little history class here in the NBA. The last repeat NBA championships was, of course, the Kevin Durant, Steph Curry Golden State Warriors back in 2017, 2018. All right? I graduated high school in 2017. The last Boston Celtics repeat championships was 1968-69 back in the Bill Russell days. It's been over 50 years since this has happened. And then the last opportunity for the Boston Celtics to become repeat champions was, of course, the Big Three that could not get the job done with Paul Pierce 2009 and 2010. So this is a once in a decade, century type of opportunity that the Boston Celtics do have, and they're fully ready to go. Kristaps Porzingis did talk about how the team has been adapting and what they're trying to provide themselves with heading into the playoffs. And KP said, look, Joe had a great meeting late in the season and a great speech. We're going for something big. We're going for something that hasn't been done for 56 years in Celtics history. And for a while now in the NBA, we have to take that challenge. We have to look at it as something bigger than what we did last year. It's like a compound effect. If we can do it again, that will make it twice as big as last year, almost. That's the beautiful thing about it. We have to go for it. Utilize this time that we have. I have never, ever thought of anybody in the Boston Celtics roster turning down a challenge, especially not Joe Mazzulla. And when you really put it into perspective, Boston had the shortest offseason because they went to the NBA Finals and they had the preseason game in Abu Dhabi. 10 months ago, the Boston Celtics won the NBA championship in 5 games. They're trying to do it in about a span of a year, and so much has happened in a year. And I genuinely cannot compare last year's team to this year's team because it just feels absolutely different. But this year's team, they've been there. They've done that. They feel more established. I mean, my God, the records that were broken in the NBA and Celtics franchise history this year alone should tell you that this team is different than last. You can see all the three-pointer team records that are in there. You can even see the single-game team records. Then one player record, of course, is my hopeful sixth man of the year, Peyton Pritchard, 246 made threes off the bench. All of those records, everything lining up for the Boston Celtics roster is the reason why sportsbooks have them winning the East and then possibly winning the NBA Finals. But right now, there is a little intimidating factor in the West. That is the OKC Thunder with SGA and Chet Holmgren. Boston right now is plus 90, and the OKC Thunder are plus 165. Those odds can change in a matter of minutes, and I'm taking Boston every single time. I truly do believe, despite the OKC Thunder being in the West, that the only thing that is preventing the Boston Celtics from going back-to-back is injuries. That is why I am putting all the positive vibes out there that every injury we've been dealing with, Brown, Holiday, Tatum, KP, it's all done once the playoffs start. We didn't have KP for the first 3 rounds of the playoffs last year. We had him for 2 games in the finals. We need a healthy Boston Celtics team for the next 4 rounds. That is the only thing standing in the way. Yeah, the OKC Thunder are very intimidating, but a healthy Boston, I'll take that team 10 out of 10 times going up against the Thunder. I know it may be cocky, but hell, I just went live for 56 games of the Boston Celtics season on this channel alone. I have seen this team through and through. I've seen their flaws. I've seen their challenges. I've seen them mid holes. I've seen them on top, 30-plus points. No doubt in my mind, the Boston Celtics will be the 2024-25 NBA champions. I will say it right now. I am putting it out there right now. They will repeat as champions, and we will raise banner 19. And by we, I mean the Celtics, obviously. All right, what is your confidence in Boston winning the NBA Finals? Scale it 1 to 10. Obviously, with that statement, I feel more so like a 10. But you guys can let me know in the comment section down below how you feel. You can agree with me or disagree with me. But what you do need to do is hit that sub button on Celtics Today by Chad Sports. This is the place to be for the NBA playoffs, which start on Sunday.